war in Ukraine, and Russian President Vladimir Putin is now claiming positive momentum there. This comes as the death toll rises from just a devastating strike on an apartment building in the city of Dnipro, Ukraine. Ukrainian officials are calling it one of the worst attacks on civilians since the war started nearly 11 months ago. Our chief national correspondent, Matt Gutman, is in Dnipro, and he joins us now with the latest. Matt, glad you're there. This has just been a horrific story to watch unfold through your reporting. What more are we learning about the strike, and what's the latest on those impacted?
The latest on the impacted is that dozens remain wounded at this point. It was 70. The death toll continues to rise, Terry. It was about 25 yesterday, but they continue to find people buried in the rubble. It's now at 40 and expected to rise further. There are about 30 people unaccounted for. Some of them might be found elsewhere, but we do anticipate that some additional bodies will be found in that pile of debris that remains. It was about 4 stories high when we arrived there just hours after the missile strike. It's now, they've combed through it, picked it apart, grabbed it, and cleared a lot of that twisted concrete and rebar and debris. It's now just about 1 story high. There is no more hope to find anybody alive. It was smoldering for days. It was snowing outside, exposure, etc. They no longer think that there is any hope for survivors. Now, you mentioned that missile earlier. That we're talking about a Kh-22. This is a Soviet-era missile designed to take out aircraft carriers. It is 38 feet tall, weighing nearly 13,000 pounds. And when you see those images of the impact it created, essentially creating open air sky where a 72-unit, 9-story apartment building once stood, it gives you an understanding of the destructive power of that missile. You know, we spent a lot of time in the back courtyard there, and there are shrapnel scars in buildings that are 200 yards away. Almost every single window in that complex of many, many hundreds of apartments shattered. It just boggles the mind when you actually see it in person. And, of course, the human toll is horrific, Terry.
You know, and Matt, just looking at it on video and in the pictures that we're rolling as you're talking about it, it's shocking to see that empty sky, as you put it. So what's Russia saying about this attack?
Russia's had a couple of different accounts. The first was that it was actually a Ukrainian anti-missile that struck that apartment building, that it wasn't actually Russian munitions that destroyed and obliterated that place. Now they're saying that it was actually a hit against a military target. They're saying that collaborators were killed there. Obviously, there's a lot of propaganda coming out of Russia, and this is the kind of thing that they've typically done after massive strikes have hit civilian targets. You know, as far as we could tell in that area, there is no military installation, no power facilities, nothing that would seem to be anything but just a really large middle-class neighborhood that was completely destroyed. And, you know, when you look at the facade of the building, I don't know if they're rolling on those images right now, you can see that the buildings adjacent to the one that was destroyed are basically buckled. We were trying to go inside one of those buildings today, but we're told that the buildings around it are no longer they're no longer sound, so we couldn't go in there at all. We don't know if the rest of the buildings are going to have to be condemned, the ones around it as well. It just gives you a sense of the power of the destructive power of that missile, Terry.
Yeah, it's awesome. And Matt, I want to ask you something. I want to ask you about the morale of the people of Ukraine. At the beginning of the war, I was there a couple of times. It was remarkable to see the solidarity, the passion in defiance of the Ukrainian people. It's the 11th month now. These horrors and atrocities have been visited upon the people of Ukraine. Their towns and cities bombed and blasted and burnt out. What's the feeling there, do you think?
Yeah, I don't think that morale is diminished, Harry. It was incredible to see the outpouring after that missile strike. And we're just taking that as one particular anecdote and vignette. But within hours, there was massive heavy machinery. We came in from the east. We were near the front, near Bakhmut and Soledar, and we drove in hours later. But already there were massive cranes and bulldozers and diggers and an army of civilians who just turned up with shovels and plastic bags trying to pick up debris. Obviously, you know, professional paramedics and military military and police were out there, but it was the civilians, the people who had nothing to do with this neighborhood, who had turned out to try to help, that so astonished me. In the freezing cold night, as the snow came down, they were standing there with their shovels, ready for action, ready to be deployed. And then the days since then, there's been a massive encampment that has formed around the destroyed building. People handing out food, blankets, clothes, anything that might have to do with shelter. And they're doing this on their own. A lot of these people are not affiliated with NGOs. They're just bringing food. They've started these fires that they put these big not lead, sorry, that would not be good, iron pots on, cast iron stoves to cook soups that they're handing out to rescuers and anybody who wants. And they keep offering us tea. We're like, no, thank you. But just the generosity of the people is incredible. And to circle back to your original question, I don't think it's diminished. I think it's only strengthened from what we're seeing here.
Yeah, it's amazing. They will not submit, and they're writing in these chapters that you're covering the stories that will be told down through the generations. And we're glad you're there for us. Matt Gutman, thanks.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.